Endurance Dr. Macharia, Waruingi, the Boston Marathon 2027, and the moral architecture of endurance. There are moments when biography becomes doctrine, when a human life ascends from a private narrative to become a public grammar for meaning, as defined by Kirinyaga Laws of Endurance. The Boston Marathon 2027, as undertaken by Dr. Macharia, Waruingi, belongs to this rare category. It is not athletic ambition. It is not personal redemption. It is initiation made visible. George Gilder once wrote that faith is the true capital of civilization. By that measure, Dr. Waruingi's run is capital in motion. Faith converted into endurance, recovery transformed into obligation, survival disciplined into service. A blind physician, scientist. A survivor of myocardial infarction. A product of modern cardiology and structured rehabilitation. A man who chooses not rest, but responsibility. To global health. This is the work of endurance. The marathon as initiation. The 9 Kirinyaga Laws of Endurance do not describe power. They describe burden. They are not privileges, but constraints, rules governing those who have seen enough to owe something back. The Boston Marathon, the world's most exacting civic race, becomes here a ritual ascent, not toward personal glory, but toward moral altitude. Marcus Aurelius warned that a man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions. Dr. Waruingi's ambition is not to finish the 26-mile race. It is to translate recovery into economic justice for global health. Each mile becomes a Kirinyaga law, embodied. Kirinyaga Law I, Illumination demands responsibility. The first Kirinyaga Law teaches that knowledge obligates action. Dr. Waruingi's survival was not accidental. It was the result of systems. Emergency medicine, cardiology excellence, rehabilitation science, and clinical trust, available in Cambridge, Massachusetts. To possess such illumination and retreat into private comfort, without endeavor to share it with the rest of the world in the spirit of global health, would be moral theft. Epictetus taught that when you are given a role to play, play it well. The role here is clear. Physician from Africa, survivor because of Cambridge/Boston, witness of profound disparity in health access. Running Boston is testimony of intent to solve this profound disparity in global health justice. Kirinyaga Law 2. Power exists only to serve. Endurance rejects domination. Power is stewardship. The body rebuilt through cardiac rehabilitation becomes an instrument, not an idol. Endurance is not hoarded, it is offered. The marathon becomes a vehicle to fund global health access, cardiovascular care, maternal health, workforce training in places where survival is still a lottery. Gilder would recognize this instantly. Capital flows toward service, not consumption. Kirinyaga Law 3. Suffering is not an excuse, but a credential. The third Kirinyaga Law affirms that suffering, rightly borne, authorizes leadership. Blindness, cardiac arrest, rehabilitation. These are not liabilities. They are credentials. Seneca insisted that fire tests gold, adversity tests men. Dr. Waruingi does not speak about resilience. He enacts it mile after mile, so others may believe survival is not an endpoint. Kirinyaga Law 4. Discipline is the currency of truth. No revelation survives without discipline. The Boston Marathon demands qualification, structure, patience, restraint. So does global health reform. So does medicine. So does justice. Stoicism is not emotional detachment. It is precision of will. Training the heart after injury mirrors training institutions after failure. The Kirinyaga Law teaches, nothing true is built casually. Global health justice will not be built casually. Kirinyaga Law V. The individual exists for the whole. Marcus Aurelius wrote, what is not good for the hive is not good for the bee. The fifth Kirinyaga Law dissolves ego. Dr. Waruingi's run is not personal achievement. It is communal signaling. It announces that global health is not private property, but a public good. Boston becomes a platform. The runner becomes a messenger. Kirinyaga Law 6. Visibility creates obligation. To be seen is to be accountable. Running Boston as a blind cardiac survivor guided by his cardiologist is radical transparency. It exposes medicine at its best and challenges systems elsewhere to rise to global health justice. This Kirinyaga law teaches that leadership must be visible, or it is counterfeit. Kirinyaga Law 7. Wealth must circulate, or it corrupts. Gilder's central insight lives here. Survival is wealth. Knowledge is wealth. Health is wealth. If hoarded, it decays. If circulated, it multiplies. Actuate's model, decentralized science, blockchain-enabled health financing, workforce development, becomes the economic extension of the marathon itself. Movement that creates value by motion. Kirinyaga Law 8. Legacy is measured in systems, not applause. The 8th Kirinyaga Law rejects sentimentality in global health justice. Medals tarnish. Headlines fade. Systems endure. This marathon aims not to inspire briefly, but to finance global health sustainably. Not to perform empathy, but to build durable institutions for global health using decentralized science of blockchain. As Epictetus warned, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Kirinyaga Law 9. The highest degree is sacrifice without recognition. The final Kirinyaga Law is the quietest. Endurance does not seek validation. It accepts obscurity if service is achieved. The finish line is not fame, it is fidelity to science, to justice, to the unseen lives extended by the run. This is Stoicism perfected. Action without attachment to praise. Conclusion. The road is doctrine. The Global Health Boston Marathon 2027 is scripture written in motion. Each mile interprets a law. Each breath affirms duty. Each step converts recovery into moral capital. Dr. Macharia Waruingi does not run away from mortality. He runs through it, carrying others with him. Gilder would call this faith made kinetic. The Stoics would call it virtue in action. History will call it necessary. The road awaits. The Keystone Run, Dr. Macharia Waruingi, and the Architecture of Meaning at Global Health Boston Marathon. The Boston Marathon is not merely a race. It is an institution of order, endurance, and meaning, an ancient ritual disguised in modern form. Every April, history bends slightly as men and women submit themselves to distance not to escape suffering, but to transfigure it. To run Boston is to enter a moral geometry, where effort becomes architecture and pain becomes purpose. In 2027, Dr. Macharia Waruingi steps into this geometry not simply as a runner, but as a keystone, the final stone that locks an entire arch into coherence. To understand his run is to understand law. The first 9 laws, the structure of the ascent. Endurance has always been governed by laws of alignment. Intention, discipline, sacrifice, silence, service, proportion, continuity, regeneration, and transmission. These 9 laws shape the ascent of the individual, mind, body, and spirit disciplined toward a higher order. Dr. Waruingi's preparation reflects these laws with stoic clarity. Like Epictetus, he accepts that the body is not owned but steward. Like Marcus Aurelius, he treats fatigue as instruction, not obstacle. Each mile is a meditation on logos, reason made flesh through motion. The training is quiet. The suffering is private. The meaning is cumulative. But laws alone do not complete a structure. The 10th law, the Kirinyaga Law of the Keystone. The 10th law, the Kirinyaga Law of the Keystone, states this: a system is not complete until one act bears the weight of all others. In Roman arches, every stone presses downward, but the keystone presses outward, distributing force and preventing collapse. Without it, the arch is rubble. With it, the arch stands for centuries. Dr. Waruingi's Boston Marathon run is not another stone. It is the keystone. His race does not exist for personal glory. It exists to lock together medicine, philanthropy, discipline, and hope into a single load-bearing act. Through his participation as a Kirinyaga endurance runner, the abstract becomes incarnate. Vision becomes velocity. This is the Stoic insight perfected. The individual act that stabilizes the whole. Boston as moral architecture. Boston itself is not incidental. It is the oldest marathon in the world, run on a course that punishes pride and rewards humility. Heartbreak Hill is not conquered, it is negotiated. Those who charge it are broken. Those who respect it pass through. This is the Kirinyaga Law of the Keystone applied to terrain. Force must be balanced, not resisted. Dr. Waruingi does not run against Boston. He runs with it. His pace honors the whole system, body, breath, mission, memory. The marathon becomes an ethical act, an expression of proportion in motion, from individual endurance to collective load-bearing. As a physician, scholar, and servant of global health equity, Dr. Waruingi understands that societies fail not from lack of stones, but from absence of keystones. Africa's future, like any civilization, does not require endless effort. It requires precisely placed effort. The marathon becomes symbolic infrastructure. Each step signals that endurance can be mobilized, that suffering can be organized toward healing, that leadership is load-bearing, not decorative. This is Gilder's principle of abundance. Value does not emerge from scarcity, but from faithful structure. The Stoic victory. Stoicism teaches that victory is not arrival, but alignment. The finish line matters less than the integrity of the run. In this sense, Dr. Waruingi's Boston Marathon is already complete, not because the miles are finished, but because the keystone is set. The arch stands. When he crosses the line in 2027, it will not merely mark a personal achievement. It will mark the moment when vision, discipline, service, and sacrifice locked into coherence and held. Conclusion. The world needs keystones. In an age of motion without meaning, the Boston Marathon reminds us that speed is nothing without structure. Dr. Macharia, Waruingi's run teaches the final law. Do not strive to be everything. Strive to be the one act that holds everything together. This is the Kirinyaga Law of the Keystone. This is the wisdom of endurance. And this is why this run matters, long after the road falls silent.